Okay, here is the FISA memo, verbatim. The White House, Washington, February the 2nd, 2018. The Honorable Devin Nunes, Chairman, House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, United States Capitol, Washington, D.C., 20515. Dear Mr. Chairman, on January 29, 2018, the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, hereinafter the committee, voted to disclose publicly a memorandum containing classified information provided to the committee in connection with its oversight activities. The memorandum, which is attached to this letter, as provided by Clause 11G of Rule X of the House of Representatives, the committee has forwarded this memorandum to the President based on its determination that the release of the memorandum would serve the public interest. The Constitution vests the President with the authority to protect national security secrets from disclosure. As the Supreme Court has recognized, it is the President's responsibility to classify, declassify, and control access to information bearing on our intelligence sources and methods and national defense. A cite is given. In order to facilitate appropriate congressional oversight, the executive branch may entrust classified information to the appropriate committees of Congress, as it has done in connection with the committee's oversight activities here. The executive branch does so on the assumption that the committee will responsibly protect such classified information, consistent with the laws of the United States. The committee has now determined that the release of the memorandum would be appropriate. The executive branch, across administrations of both parties, has worked to accommodate congressional requests to declassify specific materials in the public interest. However, public release of classified information by unilateral action of the legislative branch is extremely rare and raises significant separation of powers concerns. Accordingly, the committee's request to release the memorandum is interpreted as a request for declassification pursuant to the President's authority. The President understands that the protection of our national security represents his highest obligation. Accordingly, he has directed lawyers and national security staff to access the declassification request consistent with established standards governing the handling of classified information, including those under Section 3.1D of Executive Order 13526. Those standards permit declassification when the public interest is in disclosure outweighs any need to protect the information. The White House review process also included input from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence and the Department of Justice. Consistent with this review and these standards, the President has determined that declassification of the memorandum is appropriate. Based on this assessment and in light of the significant public interest in the memorandum, the President has authorized the declassification of the memorandum. To be clear, the memorandum reflects the judgments of its congressional authors. The President understands that oversight concerning matters related to the memorandum may be continuing, though the circumstances leading to the declassification through this process are extraordinary, the executive branch stands ready to work with Congress to accommodate oversight requests consistent with application standards and processes, including the need to protect intelligence sources and methods. And this was signed by Donald F. McGahn II, Counsel to the President. A copy went to Paul Ryan and Adam Schiff. It says unclassified, declassified by the order of the President, February the 2nd, 2018, to HPSCI majority members from HPSCI majority staff, subject, Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act abuses at the Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigations. Purpose. This memorandum provides members an update on significant facts relating to the committee's ongoing investigation into the Department of Justice, DOJ, and Federal Bureau of Investigations, FBI, and their use of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA, during the 2016 presidential election cycle. Our findings, which are detailed below, 1. Raise concerns with the legitimacy and legality of certain DOJ and FBI interactions with the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, FISC. And 2. Represent a troubling breakdown of legal processes established to protect the American people from abuses related to the FISA process. Investigation update. On October 21st, 2016, DOJ and FBI sought and received a FISA probable cause order, not under Title VII, authorizing electronic surveillance on Carter Page from the FISC. Page is a U.S. citizen who served as a volunteer advisor to the Trump presidential campaign. Consistent with requirements under FISA, the application had to be first certified by the director or deputy director of the FBI. It then required the approval of the Attorney General, Deputy Attorney General, DAG, or the Senate-confirmed Assistant Attorney General for the National Security Division. The FBI and DOJ obtained one initial FISA warrant targeting Carter Page and 3 FISA renewals from the FISC. As required by statute, site listed, a FISA order on an American citizen must be renewed by the FISC every 90 days, and each renewal requires a separate finding of probable cause. Then Director James Comey signed 3 FISA applications in question on behalf of the FBI. And Deputy Director Andrew McCabe signed 1. Then DAG Sally Yates, then Acting DAG Dana Buente, and DAG Rod Rosenstein each signed 1 or more FISA applications on behalf of DOJ. Due to the sensitive nature of foreign intelligence activity, FISA submissions, including renewals before the FISC, are classified. As such, the public's confidence in the integrity of the FISA process depends on the court's ability to hold the government to the highest standard, particularly as it relates to surveillance of American citizens. However, the FISC's rigor in protecting the rights of Americans which is reinforced by 90-day renewals of surveillance orders, is necessarily dependent on the government's production to the court of all material and relevant facts. This should include information potentially favorable to the target of the FISA application that is known by the government. In the case of Carter Page, the government had at least 4 independent opportunities before the FISC to accurately provide an accounting of the relevant facts. However, our findings indicate that, as described below, material and relevant information was omitted. Number 1, the dossier compiled by Christopher Steele, the Steele dossier, on behalf of the Democratic National Committee, DNC, and the Hillary Clinton campaign, formed an essential part of the Carter Page FISA application. Steele was a longtime FBI source who was paid over $160,000 by the DNC and Clinton campaign via the law firm Perkins Coie and research firm Fusion GPS to obtain derogatory information on Donald Trump's ties to Russia. A. Neither the initial application in October 2016 nor any of the renewals disclose or reference the role of the DNC, Clinton campaign, or any party campaign in funding Steele's efforts, even though the political origins of the Steele dossier were then known to senior DOJ and FBI officials. B. The initial FISA application notes Steele was working for a named U.S. person, but does not name Fusion GPS and principal Glenn Simpson, who was paid by a U.S. law firm, Perkins Coie, representing the DNC, even though it was known by DOJ at the time that political actors were involved with the Steele dossier. The application does not mention Steele was ultimately working on behalf of and paid by the DNC and Clinton campaign, or that the FBI had separately authorized payment to Steele for the same information. Section 2. The Carter Page FISA application also cited extensively a September 23, 2016 Yahoo News article by Michael Isikoff, which focused on Page's July 2016 trip to Moscow. This article does not corroborate the Steele dossier because it is derived from information leaked by Steele himself to Yahoo News. The Page FISA application incorrectly assesses that Steele did not directly provide information to Yahoo News. Steele has admitted in British court filings that he met with Yahoo News and several other outlets in September 2016 at the direction of Fusion GPS. Perkins Coie was aware of Steele's initial media contacts because they hosted at least one meeting in Washington, D.C. in 2016 with Steele and Fusion GPS, where this matter was discussed. Steele was suspended and then terminated as an FBI source for what the FBI defines as the most serious of violations, an unauthorized disclosure to the media of his relationship with the FBI in an October 30, 2016, Mother Jones article by David Korn. Steele should have been terminated for his previous undisclosed contacts with Yahoo and other outlets in September, before the Page application was submitted to the FISC in October, but Steele improperly concealed from and lied to the FBI about those contacts. Steele's numerous encounters with the media violated the cardinal rule of source handling, maintaining confidentiality, and demonstrated that Steele had become a less than reliable source for the FBI. Section 3. Before and after Steele was terminated as a source, he maintained contact with DOJ via then Associate Deputy Attorney General Bruce Orr, a senior DOJ official who worked closely with Deputy Attorneys General Yates and later Rosenstein. Shortly after the election, the FBI began interviewing or documenting his communications with Steele. For example, in September 2016, Steele admitted to Orr his feelings against then-candidate Trump when Steele said he was desperate that Donald Trump not get elected and was passionate about him not being president. This clear evidence of Steele's bias was recorded by Orr at the time and subsequently in official FBI files, but not reflected in any of the Page FISA applications. During this same time period, Orr's wife was employed by Fusion GPS to assist in the cultivation of opposition research on Trump. Orr later provided the FBI with all of his wife's opposition research, paid for by the DNC and Clinton campaign via Fusion GPS. The Orr's relationship with Steele and Fusion GPS was inexplicably concealed from the FISC. Section 4. According to the head of the FBI's Counterintelligence Division, Assistant Director Bill Priestap, corroboration of the Steele dossier was in its infancy at the time of the initial Page FISA application. After Steele was terminated, a source validation report conducted by an independent unit within FBI assessed Steele's reporting as only minimally corroborated. Yet, in early January 2017, Director Comey briefed President-elect Trump on a summary of the Steele dossier, even though it was, according to his June 2017 testimony, salacious and unverified. When the FISA application relied on Steele's past record of credible reporting on other unrelated matters, it ignored or concealed his anti-Trump financial and ideological motivations. Furthermore, Deputy Director McCabe testified before the committee in December 2017 that no surveillance warrant would have been sought from the FISC without the Steele dossier information. Section number 5. The Page FISA application also mentions information regarding fellow Trump campaign advisor George Papadopoulos. But there is no evidence of any cooperation or conspiracy between Page and Papadopoulos. The Papadopoulos information triggered the opening of an FBI counterintelligence investigation in late July 2016 by FBI agent Pete Strzok. Strzok was reassigned by the special counsel's office to FBI Human Resources for improper text messages with his mistress, FBI attorney Lisa Page. No known relationship to Carter Page, where they both demonstrated a clear bias against Trump and in favor of Clinton, whom Strzok had also investigated. The Strzok/Lisa Page texts also reflect extensive discussion about the investigation, orchestrating leaks to the media, and include a meeting with Deputy Director McCabe to discuss an insurance policy against President Trump's election. Okay, that's the end of the infamous FISA memo that I have access to. And basically, everything I've read has pretty much been leaked out, but it's just all inclusive in this memo. I think the thing that's important to me as a Vietnam era vet is that your children who are now serving in the military in any capacity, your family members who are serving in the military in any capacity right now, their lives are put at risk behind this. Because, number one, they are serving so that American citizens have the right to vote for the people that they want in office. And when that right is taken away by lies and deceit, that's like a spit in all of our service members' faces. And all of those who have given their lives are being disrespected by this. I'm going to just be upfront with you. Yes, I did vote for President Trump because I did not agree with Hillary Clinton. I am a born-again Christian, and she and her husband have, in essence, admitted that they are Satan worshipers. I am against abortion. To me, that is murder. I have had one abortion in my life, and that was the worst thing I ever did. And I'm totally against it. I repented. I would never, ever take another life, ever. But at the time, I was, quote unquote, miseducated that it was just tissue. And it was okay to do. It was legal. But it was wrong. I think that President Trump did the right thing when he just listed his accomplishments in the State of the Union address and then let this come out afterwards so it wasn't mixed up. Because this will tell you what was really going on and what he had to fight against and what the American citizens were almost deprived of. I would like to add that for the Black Caucus and all the members of Congress and the House of Representatives, I'm embarrassed for you because you are propagating ignorance to your own people. All you have to do is tell the truth, stand for truth, and the rest will fall into place. As far as racism and things that President Trump may have said that didn't tickle anybody's ears, in my opinion, the truth hurts. And you have to look at us as a black people and realize that on the simplest of things, we don't seem to be able to come together. Well, we didn't hire or vote for President Trump to love one people over another people. We voted him to make America great again, to bring jobs back to the American people, to cut taxes, to help us go back to work. And then that way we can pull up our own bootstraps. If some of his legislation or some of his work has taken people off of welfare or food stamps, and you're able-bodied, I'm sorry if you don't think that that's a plus.